Hello tubers, Mescal here. This is the pump that I was using on my fountain art installation, and that pump 1500 1050 litres per hour, 1.8 metre height. So yeah, this whole thing here is just a way to grow some veggies without digging up the ground. And I've sprinkled some lettuce seeds in there. I kept some lettuce seeds from plants that we'd purchased from the store and just put them in the ground and kept picking at them, and then let them go to seed, and then let the seeds dry out, and then in those little end bits there you'll have lettuce seeds, and then you can just sprinkle them into a garden bed. But at any rate, yeah, so this was the worm farm. I'll show you the worm farm. I'm going to do something else with this, like maybe put it into an in-ground style worm farm, and that'll free up this box as well, so I can have another thing. But you know, I got roaches and all sorts of maggoty grubs and stuff in here. There is a very active worm life, but you know, it was sort of a fad for a while, and then it became something that nobody's even used the produce out of. Like, these worm castings have never been used. At any rate, we'll keep it going. Looks like they're sort of not as busy as they have been. Anyway, that's the worms. So I thought that this container and contraption was far better suited to producing some lettuce and veggies and stuff. So it was made last night or yesterday afternoon. I've adjusted the pH already. I'll just put the phone down for a moment. Wash my fingers there and get the worm castings off before I muck around with this further. So I need to be somewhere in a range of lower than 7 and higher than 5. Depends what you're growing. That's not a good place to be. Anything above 7, you'll be locking nutrients out. The plants won't be able to access it. So when I adjust the pH here, I'm just going to bring this so that I'm not, you know, if I go too far, if I put too much acid into the water, I won't be killing the plant. So this stuff here is what you generally use: phosphoric acid. Some people use nitric if they can get it. That's good because then the plant gets free nitrogen as well. But so I've put 3 large eyedroppers of that into that to dilute it down, and I'll pop a splash in there. We know we're at 7, and it's stirring itself around with the pump, giving it a good mix, and we'll see where we're at. And the nutrient solutions I use are all natural. I make them up myself, and I do also get a buffer point at 6.2, and I usually have to sort of pour in a fair bit of acid to get past that buffer point. There we go, I'm completely out of my dilute acid now. It's important not to make too fast a change also, because you can shock the system and make nutrients fall out of solution and fall onto the bottom. 6.6. I shouldn't do it like this because I don't have the same amount of control, but I'll just tip a little drop of this in and we might see the nasty reaction of clouding happening, which would be the worst case scenario of nutrients dropping out. Let's see if that happens. I better not put any more in because that was a fair amount. We haven't even got through the 6.2 buffer zone. Oh, there we go. We're past it. And it happened very fast. This is why the pump is not pumping over the plants right now, because this is where the plants would be getting damaged by acid. Okay, so it's really important that you remove the flow of nutrient to your plants when you're adjusting pH. So what I'm going to do now is just let this settle, and I expect that there'll be slowly reactions happening within the water and that will bounce back up. And if it doesn't, I'll throw some nutrients in there. Rather than adjust it back up, I'll adjust it back up with the nutrient. A lot of people play the game where they will be putting in pH down, go too far, put in pH up. You don't want to do that. You want to find a simple way to bring it back up without putting base in, because when you start adding base and acid, you just create a swinging situation. You want to do the adjustments and do them carefully and just wait and watch what happens. Don't be in a hurry, don't rush it. There's also a lot of pH retention in this material, the bed. So as soon as the water starts flowing back through the perlite, it'll wash out that 7 water back into the pH 4 water, and it'll all start changing again. So you know, it's a bed water relationship. I'm not just adjusting the water, I'm adjusting the entire system. Here's a nutrient solution I made up the other day. It contains fulvic acid, humic acid, seaweed extract, rock phosphate, silicon, calcium, sulfate, nitrogen. Everything's in there. Everything the plant could need. And this has sits a little bit on the basic side, and it has huge potential to adjust. So we're at pH 3 point something. I'll give it a little bit of food, and because of the buffering nature of the humate fulvate brew and the calcium and all of the good things, will start to adjust back up without adding a pH up. Again, don't be in a hurry. Just going to pause and wait for a bit and let the numbers adjust. I'm going to tip another scoop in while I'm doing that. You see that nice dark tea colour? You don't want organic nutrients to be darker than that. I may have to take some water out and put some fresh water back in. Let's just keep adding a bit more of this. Should be got some movement. There we go. So if I tip the rest of that in there, I should be good. Just gonna wait for a bit and see what happens, and hopefully it'll come back into the range. A few more minutes have passed. I'll just see where we're at now. Okay, I'm sort of at the point where I'm stalled, and now I'm going to leach out the 7 water that's in the bed, this bottom bed here, because I'm not affecting any live plants. There is some seeds in there, but I'm not too worried about them. A little bit of acid water on the seed should be good for it, I think. Well, let's see where that is. I haven't moved far from 4 point. Where are we? 4.4. This is the plaster that you find in drywall, mixed with fulvic acid and water, which gives you calcium in solution and free sulfate. This should help bring the pH back into range. Let's see if that's got some movement. The idea here is to use up some of the acid with the calcium. So this reaction could take a while. I'm going to leave it for about an hour and come back and see where it's at then. before doing any further adjustments. But I just want you to be super aware that if you're doing the hydroponic game, don't rush your pH adjustments. It's really important to get things right at this end of the system, because if it's wrong, your nutrients will not be available to the plant. It's as simple as that. It can be done using cheap inputs, but I like to grow things organically and like to learn how to do things myself and not be reliant on the man when it comes to purchasing things. So I like to piecemeal bits together, so that's why I do this organically, and I don't go and buy general hydroponics mix or whatever and do it that way. Thanks for watching. If you like the content, even if you don't like the content, engagement is engagement. Thumb up or down, whatever tickles your pickle. And if you got any input or questions, feel free to comment or question.